Hi everyone, my name is Matt Augenstein, and this will be my fourth class in the Master's in Curriculum and Instruction program with a concentration in educational technology at UF. And my past path to teaching started following my studies at Embry-Riddle, and my degree was in aeronautical science, and I worked as a flight instructor following my studies at the university. My preparation to be a flight instructor included learning theory, and I really enjoyed learning good teaching practices through my studies. And what I learned during that time had a major impact on how I view education. Passion for teaching and learning really grew from my experience as a flight instructor. Here's a picture of me with one of my students after a flight, and I taught lessons in the classroom as well as in flight simulators and in the aircraft. My first experience in online learning was a blended classroom environment using Blackboard for my aviation weather class at the university. It was a 2-day-a-week class where one day was a lecture and the other day was online. And the class didn't include online discussions, but we submitted documents through Blackboard and worked on assignments like this one here. This is a skew-T diagram that we use to analyze cloud patterns and be able to figure out the heights of the clouds, which is really important for flight planning, as well as yeah, being able to understand what the flight will be like along the route. Now I'm teaching high school physics, and a few years ago I took all my certification classes online. This is the first real exposure to pure distance education, where it was all online. And each class setup was fairly similar. We would have weekly discussions, and there would be assignments to turn in each week. And there was some flexibility to research and explore our own interests. The lesson plans I created and some of the papers I wrote could be tailored to my professional practice and what I was doing in the classroom. And this program first introduced to me the idea of inquiry learning and how particularly helpful this is in learning science. And this program had a significant impact on my teaching strategy. And I started to model my classroom lessons off guided inquiry and continue to craft lessons with those principles today. And one of the lessons that I just kind of typifies what I like to do is I'll give the students some masses of different amounts and some string and a pole, and I'll kind of just tell them, okay, just figure out a way where you can get a pendulum to go back and forth in 1 second. And so they get to work and they have to figure out really how to make it without any more instruction. And so eventually they figure out that mass has no effect on how much time it takes for the pendulum to go back and forth. And they eventually figure that it's really just dependent upon the length. Another lesson I like to do is looking at collisions. And so looking from the top down there, we've got two cars, and then the first car hits the second car, and then they combine together. And so through inquiry, we use data logging computers that analyze the motion, and they can figure out what's happening with momentum. And then eventually, they can come up with a solution for all the mathematics here just through those two scenarios in those different units and bring those together. This is a ballistic pendulum where you can figure out the speed of a projectile when it's shot into a pendulum and then it goes up into the air. And so they can use the principles of collisions and principles of pendulums and energy to be able to figure out the initial speed of a projectile such as a bullet that goes in through inquiry. And this kind of brings me to the major challenge, I think, with online learning, and in particular with laboratory investigations and being able to simulate errors and the multitude of factors that go into an experiment is one of the major challenges. This is a picture of my classroom here, and cabinets full of equipment, and each of the experiments they do each day have many dynamics going on, and there's also many errors that they have to recognize. And so being able to do this in an online environment, I think, is one of the major challenges of pure online learning. And during the last class, I was looking at there are some people trying to do some simulated online environments, such as in Second Life, and but there's still a lot of challenges to that. But hopeful for the future that be able to have similar kind of an inquiry environment in terms of scientific investigations online. But what I've really enjoyed about the online learning here at the College of Education has been really the inquiry learning, guided inquiry for for all the lessons that we've been doing throughout the classes, and being able to explore areas of interest and bring in our own insights and being able to learn from each other has been really valuable. And I've just had a really positive experience, really enjoyed it, and really looking forward to continued learning.